Hello and welcome to Rachel's Atelier. My channel is very new, so if you found me, that's awesome. I'm not really sure how all of this YouTube stuff works yet, but I'm trying. My name is Rachel, and today I'm just going to kind of keep it light and fun. I just got some new ink and some new nibs, and I just kind of want to play around with that. I really haven't used ink too much in my work. I mostly work in oil paintings and watercolors and some other various things. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my camera positioned as best I can. I have had so many problems making videos. Oh, I really have come to respect this process. It's an art in and of itself. Just trying to get everything set up right and making the recordings and actually then getting them onto YouTube. It doesn't always happen because things go wrong. A lot of things go wrong. So I'm just going to do a quick sketch. Even though I'm going to keep this pretty loose, I really don't have any great expectations for this. It's really a sketch. And you see that I have two separate sheets of paper, scrap pieces of watercolor paper. I have just a large tablet of watercolor paper and I cut it down to the sizes that I need at the time. And so sometimes I just get these odd shaped scraps, but I don't like to throw anything away. So I'm going to use these just to do a sketch of an idea that I started to have last night. This isn't even really the kind of art I usually do. But this has kind of been inspired from another project that I was hired to do. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. I think I'll just let it reveal itself. I think it'll be pretty obvious at some point what's going on here. But basically, I'm just going to use these two really long sheets of scrap watercolor paper to create a single composition, which I think, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Like I said, I just don't really have any expectations for this piece other than just playing around with ink and just kind of talking and maybe sort of introduce myself a little bit. So like I said, I've been wanting to make YouTube videos for a really long time. I'm kind of, a little camera shy when I work. I usually work in silence and I usually am just like listening to an audiobook, and that's my preference for sure. But at the same time, I just also want to get out there a little bit more. I don't think it's always enough just to, keep to yourself. And, that's great. And I think a lot of artists are introverts, and so we like to do that. But I'm just trying to get out there, want to meet some other artists, talk to people, just kind of form a community or get involved in some art communities. So this is the ink that I got. This is India ink, and that's how I've labeled this little bottle. I just bought these little bottles, even though I've had the ink maybe for a few weeks, because I recently went on a trip and I brought my ink so I could play with it. And I just put it in like a baby food jar and it spilled everywhere. It made a huge mess, and lesson learned. So I went on to Amazon and I found these little bottles. They're especially for ink, they're airtight. I'm going to start out with a wash. So I'm spritzing my watercolor paper. Ink really works very similarly to watercolor paper, or I'm sorry, just watercolor, which I like. But what I also like about it is that it's very versatile because you can do washes with it and you can also do lines. So I think that's cool. I've always been really fascinated by ink art, and especially just black and white. ink art. I don't really have a great brush for this because I didn't want to ruin my watercolor brushes. I ordered some brushes from Amazon. They're like Chinese calligraphy brushes. They probably also won't work well for washes, so I might just have to sacrifice some of my watercolor brushes to inking because I don't actually use all my watercolor brushes. I just have a lot of cheapos, but you kind of find that, you know, you have some favorites that you kind of just stick with, and that's where I'm at with that. So there probably are some watercolor brushes I can just sacrifice. So I'm just gonna put this big wash on here and kind of get my values in place. And I also bought Sumi ink. So I'm gonna introduce those and kind of play with those in another video, I think. Today I'm just going to do the India ink. I think in the long run, I don't know what I'll end up using more. So far I've only used my India ink, so I don't really have any experience with the Sumi ink to, you know, say that I prefer one over the other. Oh, I think I went too dark on this already. This is just a sketch. I kind of just have a really loose idea in my mind and kind of wanted some light back there, and I already forgot it. I'm definitely not used to talking while I work. So anyway, it feels like this is actually like my 100th video that I've made. Most of my videos either haven't made it onto my channel at all, or I put them up for a while and they were kind of not really what I really wanted for my videos, so I took them off. And I've had a lot of technical problems with videos. I'm just recording with my phone. I do want to do videos and I would like to buy a camera, but I also don't want to make the mistake of going and spending like hundreds of dollars and then realizing that, you know, this isn't going to work out for me for whatever reason. So right now I'm just trying to stick with my phone, and the camera is great, and I think that the sound is pretty great with it too. The problem has been that it breaks my videos down into shorter files. Like I'll paint for an hour and I'll end up with like 2 files that are 38 minutes each. And I do have editing software, but the process of getting the video from my phone to my computer has been surprisingly laborious. Usually what I'll do is, because I can't email the larger files to myself, I have to upload them to my cloud, which I use Amazon, and I have lots of storage, but it takes quite a while just to upload the videos to my cloud. And then once they're there, I have to go to my laptop and I have to actually download the files onto my computer, and then I have to import them into my editing software, which is fine. That's not a big deal. Do the editing, and, you know, I only know how to do really simple stuff right now, so that doesn't take much time. Then it seems like it takes forever, though, to export the edited file back onto my computer desktop in a, you know, file format that YouTube accepts. That takes a really long time. And that whole time I can't do anything else with my computer. And then I have to upload it to YouTube, which also takes forever. And sometimes there's an error and it just doesn't work. It fails. And it's been kind of a really frustrating process for me, to be honest. So I'm trying to figure out what works. Right now I'm doing the live option on YouTube, even though I don't have anyone who's going to be watching this because this is so new to me. And I think I'd be kind of nervous if I knew that people were actually watching me live. But maybe I'll get over that. That's what I'm hoping, is that I kind of get over my camera shyness a little bit. So I'm trying this to see if that'll work better. I also tried just, you know, keeping my videos so that they are 38 minutes or less, because that seems to be the cutoff point for my phone's recording capacity before it starts breaking it into other, into separate smaller files that I then have to do all that ridiculous process for, because none of the video editing apps that I have found for my phone work to just put, simple clips together and actually upload them to YouTube. It's like they will put the clips together, but I haven't had any one of those actually successfully upload to YouTube. So it's been, kind of a surprisingly frustrating and difficult process that I hadn't really anticipated, and I couldn't have, I guess, until, I actually tried it. But I definitely have gained a new respect for, the people who actually make well edited, kind of complex videos. I think of all the people who, they put up a video every single day like that. There's even people who somehow do more than one video a day. I don't know how. But yeah, it's crazy. I didn't think it could possibly be so complicated, especially because I'm only really wanting to do very simple videos. I don't know that I necessarily see myself having, crazy edited, beautiful videos, because my focus really is more on just art, just traditional art. I do like to do, some graphic design and stuff like that, but I've never really been interested in, film or videos or anything. But, I think maybe at some point I will want to buy just a simple video camera that's more specialized for this purpose. Maybe. We'll see. I really think, everything that I've kind of researched, and I've even taken some classes on all of this, believe it or not. But, everything says really your phone should be fine. I have a really pretty recent phone with a really good camera, so it should be fine for the time being to get me started, and, just see if anyone actually wants to watch my videos, and if they do, and it find a way to make the process manageable, then I think that'll be really fun. And the other thing is that I'm kind of, because I don't talk when I paint, and because I love ASMR videos on YouTube, I wanted to do, and I want to do some ASMR style art videos. And for the most part, I want those to be like not talking, like just the sounds of the brush on the paper, and when the clinking against the jar, and just kind of the visual elements of painting. That's kind of what I was thinking I would really focus on with my channel. But of course, that also has been way more challenging than I could have ever expected, because I think the first one I did it went okay, but then after that, I had so many issues. Like, I went live with a video just like this, and at some point, or it never started, or something went wrong, and so the video never recorded, and I did the whole entire painting, not realizing that it wasn't even recording, and it actually went really well, and the painting turned out well. So I was disappointed with that, but I decided, to persevere, and I immediately did another recording, and my dogs were so loud in the background the whole time. They were fighting, they were barking, they were making weird dog noises. I have two dogs that are both, they're mixed, but they're both have Boston Terrier in them, and so they kind of snort and just make weird noises. And of course, you couldn't see them on the camera, so I think it was probably just going to be weird. and I hadn't talked the whole video. And it's like when you start a video not talking and then, suddenly you're 20 minutes in and there's like weird noises in the background, it's just not going to work. I can't start talking at that point and just explain that my dogs are being weird and rude in the background. It just wasn't going to work at that point. So that happened. And then I did another one, and the video recorded in vertical orientation for some reason. And for the life of me, I could not find any app to just edit that and flip it. It seems like such a simple thing that you should be able to do no problem, but I could not find anything that would enable me to just flip it. And it actually, that video I thought had turned out really well. Right as of now, it's actually up on my video because I was like, well, this is what I got today. But then even after that, I did another video, and the painting just turned out so bad. I think I was so burnt out and frustrated at that point that I couldn't get into the right mindset of just, kind of letting go of things and letting the painting happen. And it just turned out so ugly. And that's kind of been my life the last couple of weeks because I'm trying a lot of new things with my art. I'm trying to develop my skills and some better techniques, and I'm even taking a class right now, which has been very helpful. But I'm realizing that I have so many of these kind of built-in habits that I've developed over the years because even though I actually went to college and studied painting, but kind of in name only because I really didn't take it seriously at the time. It's something I felt like I really needed to do. Like I needed to study art, but at the same time, I didn't believe that having a career in art was feasible at all in any way. And this was like now about 12 years ago. So at that time, I had sold some art on eBay, and Etsy was just getting started. And I think I had some inkling of the fact that, something like that existed, but I don't know why I didn't really even look into it, but I didn't. And so I really wasn't even aware of any real options out there for artists. And I lived in, rural Nebraska. I had a daughter. I was mom. And so my priority really was, making sure that I could support her. And so I never really saw art as something that I could actually spend my time doing. So but I had always wanted to study art. I had always been like a quote unquote artist, in grade school. And that's kind of how I was known. And I loved it. I really wanted to just study it in school, but my priorities were elsewhere. I had a whole bunch of different jobs that I was doing. And after I finished my art degree, basically sleepwalking through it, and I really like going back and looking at my paintings, and I majored in painting, and they were just awful. Like, there was not really any technical instruction on painting. It was kind of just, the professor standing up in front of class and doing a really quick um, demo or whatever, and then us just kind of figuring it out. And there was no real objective feedback either. It's like I was kind of doing these really colorful impressionist paintings that were, I mean, they weren't good though, by my opinion, or really, anyone who's being honest, they weren't good. And then there were other students who were doing like completely abstract, non-objective, like or like political art. And so there just wasn't there was nothing objective about the education that I received. And it was just a, little art department at a state school, the most affordable state school in my state. So it wasn't, exactly real like high quality art education, but also, and that's not to blame the school, because there actually were a lot of people who got a lot out of their education there and went on to do very well. But I was not one of them because I just couldn't take it seriously enough. Like, I didn't push myself enough. I kind of just skated by as much as I could just to get the degree. And then as soon as I finished that degree, I went on to do another degree in social work. And then I went on to do a master's degree in social work, and I worked in that field for about, I don't know, 10 or 12 years. I have no idea. I kind of started working in that field accidentally even before I started studying it in school. And that's a discussion for another time, but it was a long, however many years it was long. And yeah, so I'm kind of actually new to really pushing myself with art and trying to get better, trying new things, and trying to develop my skills because that just has not been my focus since high school, really. And in high school, I think I was a lot more serious about skills and art and everything. So I'm just kind of waiting for parts of this wash to dry. I'm noticing that the ink with this paper, I think it's probably the paper, but it almost kind of has like a warm brownish tint. But and that also might just be because it's a wash, and maybe diluting it kind of brings out the warmer tones in the ink. Because when I was traveling and I was kind of just playing around with the ink, I wasn't doing washes. I was just using a dip pen, and so I thought the lines looked pretty darn black. So I don't know, we'll see. But I kind of want this wash to dry a little bit. There's probably some spots I can go ahead and start drawing on maybe. It's all kind of wet. And I'm at, oh man, I'm already at 22 minutes. So let's see. Let's just see what happens. Like I said, I don't have any expectations for this. This is scrap paper, and I don't know what I'm doing. So there's no way that I can mess this up. You might already know what I'm drawing, but this is not done yet. These lines are turning out okay. Also, while I was traveling, I was just using one nib, and I ended up breaking it. I think accurately so. I'm kind of painting a picture of myself and how clumsy I am. Accident prone, I guess. I definitely am. Let's see, what am I going to do next? Maybe start drawing a horizon line. But I had it sitting in my backpack, all wrapped up. I was on the train, and it was late, and I put my feet up and kind of, I don't know, I dropped my foot down somehow, and my heel landed right on the nib and bent it, and it just didn't work anymore after that, even though it didn't even look too bad. Anyway, this is actually the first time I'm using this nib. And so far I like it, but I was really bummed because I just got really used to that nib and I really liked it. Then I went on Amazon and bought a whole bunch of nibs. Actually, while this is drying, maybe I'll kind of just show you the nibs that I bought. Let's rinse that off. I have also the bad habit of not properly cleaning things right away. I want to get better at that. I'm definitely your stereotypical artist type, not very naturally organized. My house is a bit cluttered. My whole house is just an art studio. Every room of my house is just a different place where I do art. Okay, so I think these are my cartooning nibs, maybe? And actually, my daughter is kind of taking these, not really. She's letting me borrow them back, even though I bought them. But they're kind of interesting looking. I don't know what to expect. I think I'll probably get like really bold lines with these. And I have another holder. Let's see, which one should I experiment with? They're so weird looking. Like I just don't know what to expect. I guess this one's in my hand, so I'm going to use that one. Put these ones back in this little jar so I don't lose them. And also so I don't slam my foot on them and break them. Oh, these airtight ink jars, I think it came with like 6 in the package, and I only have 2 kinds of ink, so figured I would just use the other ones to store nibs. Makes sense. Okay, so just going to, these are just speedball nibs and speedball pen holders, whatever. So it just kind of fits in there like that. Kind of blurry. So let's just dip it and see what happens. Like I said, I'm just completely new to, ooh yeah, look how, that's like really bold. Wow. Yeah, the nib I was just using now and the nib that I had kind of gotten myself used to before just kind of made like really thin, scratchy lines. So this is awesome. Oh yeah, really bold. And this ink isn't diluted at all, so. Except the paper I'm putting it on is still kind of damp, and so it's kind of get diluted just by nature of that being exposed to the water that's on the paper. Pretty cool though. I like it. So, if you haven't already guessed, it's UFO. I was hired to paint some murals. One of those murals was the Roswell aliens. So, for the last week, I've actually not been in my studio. I've been on site painting these murals. I haven't painted a lot of murals. And it's different too because you can't, I usually paint with oils, and you can't paint a mural in oil paint unless, the person paying you wants to pay like hundreds of dollars just for the ink. Nobody wants that. Or just for the paint, sorry. Got ink on my mind. So I am using, latex house paint and acrylic paint because latex house paint actually is acrylic paint. You can actually mix them together. But I really don't like painting with acrylics. I used to only paint in acrylics because I was too impatient for oil. But once I started using oil, it was just one of those things where it's like I'll never go back to painting with acrylics because they don't blend well, they're not as vibrant. Some people really do justice to acrylics and they do really well and they look like oil paints sometimes, but I would rather actually just paint with oils at this point. So I kind of want to put some trees back here. I'm imagining this is kind of a spooky forest. Paper is still really wet. Oh, that's the other issue that I've had with just trying to make videos within a certain amount of time and without having multiple clips, because I'll do a wash, in watercolor or something like that, and then I'll want to move on to, some of the, more dry, not the wet on wet techniques, but my whole piece of paper will still be wet. But I don't want to wait for it to dry because then I'll have a long video and I'll have multiple clips. So I'll try to just, find dry spots that I can work on, and it just doesn't work out well because even spots that appear dry at first are not. With this, it doesn't matter. But that's been my other challenge, is that I end up ruining pretty good paintings just, because I'm trying to fit everything within a certain time constraint. And I don't know, like if I buy just a camcorder, like a $150 camcorder, will that not happen? Will the videos all be in one piece and I can just put the SD card in my computer and upload them right away? Because as much as I want to do YouTube, I also, and at this point, I'm not good at editing videos and I just don't have a huge interest in it. So my idea is, kind of just to do these paintings where I'm, just recording them and then I upload them and that's that. And maybe, I can add a few graphics or a thumbnail or whatever, and that's it. And the feature is really the painting. So far, that's just not worked out. Okay. So kind of dripping over here. I'm almost using this nib like a paintbrush, which is not appropriate. Some of this ink is really thick and wet, and it's kind of dripping down because I have my paper on an incline. One thing I wish I had done is just left this a little bit lighter on the horizon because I wanted to have, the sun sort of setting. But, next time I'll do that. All right. So let's see. Okay, I'm at 32 minutes. But what I want to do next, because this UFO, these aliens are obviously up to something, and they are abducting unicorns. That was the brilliant idea that I had last night. So we're gonna just put some frantic unicorns being abducted by aliens. And I'm not gonna draw these well. I think also the thing about using a new medium and a new tool is you kind of like all my drawing skills, I don't know, they're not really shining right now. But the idea will be there. That's what I really wanted today. So this is what happened to the unicorns. They were abducted by aliens. And let's see. I have another unicorn. I want him to be kind of upside down. Let's see if I can draw an upside down unicorn. Got ink on my hand. Another bad habit I have is just ruining all of my clothes while I paint. Doesn't matter what I do, it seems. No matter how careful I am, I just ruin everything. Even actually the dress that I have on today has a whole bunch of paint on it, and oil paint does not come out. Ink does not either. Just got the dress at Goodwill, so it's like not a huge problem, I guess. All right, let's try to get a unicorn watching what's happening. Should be running away, but I don't know, what would you do? You saw your friends being abducted. Would you run away? Would you check that out? I'm not sure. Ultimately, they all got taken, apparently, because there's no unicorns anymore. I swear I can draw better than this. Or we'll do one smart unicorn running away. It'll have to be pretty small, pretty quick. I guess I'm not sure when I'm recording live, I don't know if I'm going to have to, if it's going to be a problem to have a video longer than that 38-minute magic amount of time. I guess we'll see. Maybe I'll let it go to 39 minutes and we'll just see if it gets cut off. I also don't know if like the notifications that I get on my phone, are those going to be in the video? I don't know. There's so many things I just don't know. I think the reason that it's harder for me right now to draw with this is I'm just not used to having to, you know, draw in one particular direction. Like with a nib, you have to draw in a particular direction. There's my daughter. That's the other thing. When I make videos and I want it to be really quiet, and I say to my daughter, I'm gonna record a video.
Tell me this time. You didn't tell me this time.
Yeah, but when I did, it's like as soon as I told her I was gonna make a video and I wanted everything to be quiet, she had to get my dogs riled up.
I just walked on in. I didn't even
She had to bust in here. All right, so there it is, guys. It's still kind of wet. I'd like to take the tape off. I guess we'll do it anyway because it's just a sketch. Who cares? Might get ruined.
Oh.
That's okay.
That's one way to look at it, I guess.
Well, it's just a sketch. I'm just experimenting. So everything looks cooler without the tape. The tape always makes it look really messy. It looks more finished without the tape. There's just a lot of globs. Maybe I'll just block globs a little bit.
The blobber bloops.
Yep.
You should talk funnier in your streams. Videos.
Dude, I can barely talk at all when I'm making videos. It's really hard.
Oh, yeah, it would be.
So maybe when I get more comfortable with it, I can be my regular, normal, insanely funny self.
I mean, you could try to be insane. You could be your normal trying too hard self, or you could actually learn how to be funny.
Being funny isn't something you can learn.
I mean...
Sorry for you.
Owie. That was a nice little punch to my...
So, what do you think, Reagan?
It looks like a unicorn is dying, and another unicorn is trying to catch the dying unicorn, because the dying unicorn just got zapped with an eye.
Dude, they're being abducted by aliens.
Oh. That makes more sense.
That's where the unicorns went. That's why there's no unicorns.
Oh, shoot. What about the dragons? What happened to them?
Haven't figured that one out yet.
Oh, shoot.
There it is, guys. Bye.